coming up. There will be an exam on the election of 1912 and the presidents that are running for president during that time period.
Oh man, why don't we have a test? Do you guys want to study or something?
Yeah, we should actually. I wonder how we're going to pass this.
And the three presidents we know is Roosevelt, Taft, and Wilson. And how are they progressive presidents?
We also need to know about the election of 1912 and why it was significant.
Okay, so first let's start with President Roosevelt. Why is he so important?
So I was looking over on Roosevelt. I found some notes on him. He was part of the new nationalist variety of progressivism, a master of populist rhetoric and public charm, quickly taking the widespread fear of war.
This is an NBC News special report.
Here we have a former president, Theodore Roosevelt. Hello, Mr. President. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. How about you?
I'm good. Now, would you mind answering a few questions of mine?
Don't mind at all.
Okay, let's get started. First, what accomplishments did you achieve throughout your presidency?
I was known as the Great Trust Buster. I prosecuted many trust violators. I also have skills in foreign policy. And my proudest moment is when I helped solve disputes over Venezuela, the Dominican Republic, and Morocco.
As the president, what did you want to do to help the nation or felt like we needed?
I want to help people deal in foreign policy so we could gain trust with other nations.
Important pieces of legislation that you passed.
Since I focus more on foreign policy, I adopted the Draco Doctrine, which prevented the use of force in collecting foreign debts, which has been an important issue in the U.S. as we became involved with other countries.
Were there any problems or wars or depression during your term?
The difficulty that came upon me was there wasn't enough money for the government to function properly. I raised taxes and created a downfall on economic services when building the Panama Canal.
Lastly, how did you expand the meaning of freedom for the Americans?
I expanded the meaning of freedom by helping gain trust between countries due to foreign policies.
Thank you, Mr. President. It was very nice to have you here and joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Have a good day. NBC News Live. Here we have a former President, William Howard Taft.
Hello, Jennifer. Thanks for having me today.
No problem, Mr. President. Would you mind answering a few questions of mine?
Actually, I don't mind at all.
Okay, good. Let's get started. First, what accomplishments did you achieve throughout your presidency?
During my time in office, Congress passed the 16th Amendment, which levied an income tax on American people, and we also passed the 17th Amendment, which allowed the election of U.S. senators by popular vote. We also passed the Federal Children's Bureau and had the Mann-Elkins Act passed, and also signed the Publicity Act. The Mann-Elkins Act placed phone, telegraph, radio, and cable services and other communications under the control of the ICC, which is the Interstate Commerce Commission. The Publicity Act required political parties to account money spent on foreign campaigns, and also the dollar diplomacy, which encouraged U.S. banks and businesses to make investments abroad.
Secondly, why are they so important?
Well, the dollar diplomacy was one of the most important things that were passed during my time of administration because it helped encourage U.S. banks and businesses to invest in other countries abroad.
As a president, what did you want to do to help the nation or felt like we needed? And were there any problems like wars or depression during your term?
Well, when I first came into office, my first intentions were to lower the taxes and tariffs. However, I decided to raise it because I felt it was what we needed due to the Civil War. Because of the Civil War, we had so many economic problems and it caused so much distress around all over the nation. So by raising the taxes and tariffs, I hope to alleviate our nation's debt. But this was also a controversial issue at the time because people weren't happy with my decision to raise taxes.
How did you expand the meaning of freedom for Americans?
During my time in the administration, the Congress passed the Underwood Tariff Bill, which significantly reduced import fees. It also brought significant reduction of duties since before the Civil War. And we also passed the dollar diplomacy, which changed the banking systems in the nation, which helped it invest abroad.
Hi, this is Jennifer, and here we have today as our special guest, former President Woodrow Wilson. So, can I ask you a few questions for our interview today?
Sure.
Okay. So, our first question I have for you is, what accomplishments did you achieve throughout your presidency?
Okay, so during my presidency, I actually helped with the foreign policy that emphasized my idealistic humanitarianism. I also pushed for my 14 points that was supposed to help us during how we were going to shape the country after World War I. Then, after that, I also lowered the tariffs, introduced my Federal Reserve System to reform the national economy.
Oh, really? Okay. And next, why are they so important?
Okay, so basically all these things all my accomplishments helped out with my presidency just because it helped reform all of the mistakes that Taft had during his presidency. I had to basically reform the whole country with my Federal Reserve System that helped with the economy at the time, because at the time Taft had to increase the tariffs in order to help with the war.
As the next president, what did you want to do to help the nation or felt like we needed?
Okay, well, I think we needed during my presidency was that what I basically introduced was the Federal Reserve Act. This was a very important piece of my legislation during my presidency due to the fact that it was basically combining the private initiative and the public control. It was only amended really once in 1935 because it was used to strengthen the Federal Reserve Board's power over the interest rates and the money supply at the time.
How did you expand the meaning of freedom for Americans?
Okay, so basically, because of Taft's presidency, he basically messed it up due to the increase in tariffs. So it was kind of difficult, and with the pressures of World War I coming upon us, it was hard to fund it due to the increase in tariffs. So it created a real national and economic problem. Okay, so I expanded the meaning of freedom to Americans because I passed an act called the Smith-Lever Act. This basically helped with the agricultural development for farmers, and also I basically had to form mine on the economy due to the increase in tariffs, and I had to lower them to help the farmers because the nation needed more agricultural than industrial at the time.
Can you please explain to me what happened during the election of 1912?
Sure. So basically what happened was Taft was again nominated as the Republican nominee, and I was nominated as the Democratic. But what Theodore Roosevelt wanted to was that he made his own party called the Bull Moose Party in order to run against Taft and me. But during the election, I won by a technical landslide because I got 47% of the electoral votes. And the only real competition was Roosevelt because he only had a slim 27% of the majority popular vote. But in the end, I basically won the presidency by a landslide. Okay, so as I was saying, we were basically talking about Wilson and how he was the last president in the Progressive era, so basically we were talking about him.
Is she paying attention?
Gainley.
Hello? Gainley?
Hello.
Wake up.
Hey,
Oh my God.
You slept through the whole thing.
I had the craziest dream. I met all the presidents. You guys don't have to say anymore. Here, let me update you guys.
What?
So,